Talking about this rankings from ProFootballTalk.com, where the Redskins are ranked in their 2020 preseason power rankings dead last. Of course, at the top you got the Chiefs, the Niners, the Ravens, the Patriots, the Saints. But when you go to the bottom, Cake's alluded to it, even Jay Gruden's Jacksonville Jaguars, where he'll be the offense coordinator, are ranked above the Redskins. What it says about Washington is they've got the right coach. Now, if Ron Rivera can focus on coaching and not coming up with a new name or cleaning up Bruce Allen's mess, maybe they can get to work on turning the franchise around. Bottom line is they've got him 32, dead last. Do you think that's fair? If you want to chime in, 800-636-1067. I think it's fair. I mean, they won 3 games last year.
Right.
Let's just talk about the offense. Dwayne Haskins has upside for sure, and maybe he's going to put together a nice season. But he's unproven, and he has no weapons outside of Terry McLaurin to throw to. Cakes, can you name a tight end to speak of that they have on the roster right now?
I mean, I can name tight ends. I don't know how much you want to speak about them. I mean, you got Richard Rodgers there. You signed Thaddeus Moss as a free agent after his injury, and he wasn't drafted. And, of course, you have Logan Thomas there as well.
And you slept on Jeremy Sprinkle.
Sprinkle's a holdover. I mean,
so you don't have much to speak of there. They just took a hit last week when we found out that Kelvin Harmon tore his ACL. He was slotted to be the number 2 receiver. So instead, you might have somebody like Cody Latimer as the number 2 receiver. Maybe it'll be Cam Sims. You've got guys like Steven Sims and Trey Quinn playing the slot. There's just not a lot of weapons there. At running back, you have potential in Darius Geis. He can't stay healthy. You've got Adrian Peterson, who did impress at times last year, but he's a fossil. And they got a bunch of guys who I would just classify as Jags.
The running game is going to be cobbled together unless Geis can stay. If Geis can stay healthy for 12 or 13 games, then I think he has potential to be a difference maker. But until I see that, I'm not going to count on that being in a week in, week out type of production that you can lean on.
And then the offensive line is arguably worse than it was last year.
Right.
So look, offensively, they're going to have issues. Now, on defense, I think they're going to be better. So if you're going to say it's unfair, maybe it's unfair because the defense is going to be so good and impactful with Chase Young, and they've changed to a 4-3, and it's Jack Del Rio, and they're better coached, and they're going to win more games because of that. I can maybe buy into that. But I don't think it's an unfair ranking. They won 3 games last year.
Maybe. Look, I think it all comes down to Haskins on offense and Chase Young on defense. Comes down to those two. If those guys perform, if Chase Young is as good as advertised, it's going to be a huge boon to the defense. And if Haskins grows and plays like he did in those last 2 or 3 games, I mean, look, they're going to be a bottom 3rd team no matter what. It's just, are they the worst team in football? I mean, that's kind of disrespectful. But you're right, they only won 3 games last year. I don't know. I think their ceiling is probably 6 or 7 wins. That's probably their ceiling. So you're talking about a team that's for sure in the bottom 3rd in the league. There's no question about it.
The other teams at the bottom, we mentioned Jacksonville. I mean, Minshew actually put up some numbers last year. Cakes, you know that. Gardner Minshew put up some numbers. So he's more proven than Dwayne Haskins at this point. They've got Carolina, new coach, and Matt Rule. They're 30th in this power ranking, but they've got Christian McCaffrey. You know what I mean? So it's hard to put them below the Redskins. So who would you actually put below the Redskins? I mean, maybe the Bengals. They draft Joe Burrow.
They have the Bengals at 28 on this list. It's kind of high for the team that's picking number 1 overall.
Anyway, we want your thoughts. Do you think this is disrespectful of the Redskins? 800-636-1067. Do you think they're markedly better than being the worst team in the league?
How can they be markedly better? Like you said, they're coming off a 3-13 campaign with lots of question marks up and down the roster.
Well, isn't that
markedly better?
Isn't that depressing though? Being ranked dead last.
Well, it's the reality of a rebuild. This is a rebuild for the Redskins. That's why Ron Rivera was brought here. To change the culture and to rebuild a bad roster.
Well, it's kind of like a reality check because all you read about is how the defense is going to be so much better and how it has the potential to be in the top 10. Oh, I think it will be. I think the defense is probably the best part of the team.
Because defense wins so many games in 2020 in the NFL.
And then I'll ask the Titans in the playoffs. But anyways, so And then Haskins, everyone's talking about how Haskins is going to be a lot better, and everyone's
he's
watching
the X factor.
And he's
I don't
watching
know if he's going to be.
Well, by
if
the way,
he is,
Valdez
then
mentions
it's
the
good.
Titans. You forgot to mention Derrick Henry played like a man possessed, like he always does in the second half and in the playoffs. And Ryan Tannehill was second only to your man Lamar Jackson in putting up numbers for the second half of the season.
All right, well, don't sidetrack me from my point. My point is that everyone sees Haskins' videos and has all this hope and thinks that the team is going to make a big leap this year.
Well,
and
I don't think people think that.
I think there's a lot of hype.
If you're buying into Dwayne Haskins throwing bombs to wide open guys 30 yards down the field.
Everyone talks about
how
good he looks and his work ethic.
That's true.
And everything.
But they're not saying that that's translating into wins. They're just saying,
well, it
I think
translates
reasonable
into being
people.
better.
I think people are saying, "Hey, it looks like he's taking his job seriously. He's he's working on his body. Looks like he's putting in some hard work. Let's see if that translates into wins and better production."
I think there's a lot of people who are optimistic.
But nobody's looking at that and going, "Oh yeah, we're going to win 9 games because he's throwing balls to high school receivers." Right. No one's thinking that.
Or he's throwing the ball to Antonio Brown.
Literally, nobody is saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to be awesome," because he's working out on a high school field.
Do we have our first win total prediction? Do we have that available? Is that in
I've already done it.
Studio? I know that. I don't remember what it was. I don't remember how many games you picked. You had them at 6?
I don't even know how I got there, but
I think I had them at 4.
I had like 4 or 5, I think.
Can Darius go over there and get the bet book? Darius, yeah.
I don't even know if it's in the bet book because we haven't been to the studios in so long.
Nobody logged it?
I don't know.
Maybe we had Adam or somebody log. Is Adam even alive? Does that guy still?
I think he's still
part
alive.
of the show?
Yeah, you saw him on Friday, remember? We probably don't after your third bullet and Coke.
Yeah, it was good.
The worst decision we made during the Appy Hour was putting Adam in charge of keeping the scores.
Yeah.
Of course. The guy can barely add. Why would you put him in charge of any sort of math?
A side note is I don't think he understands the word average/mean and how to calculate it.
No.
And it was obviously he was zooming with his phone because towards the end when we asked him to calculate, his Zoom would go off.
His phone.
Yeah, he had to use the calculator on his phone.
Yeah, what a dummy.
When all it was just add up 6 numbers.
Right. Did Darius not find the bet book or
he
what?
He brought Cakes' replay book out. I had to tell him it was the composition book.
Yeah, it's the composition book over in the little slot, the little mail slot thing, whatever that is.
It's like what Kevin Spacey wrote in 7. Come on, everybody knows that reference.
Right. But JP's right because we haven't been in studio since early March. So we probably
not in there.
We did this after the draft, right? After they drafted
or right
Chase
before,
Young.
right around there, yeah. No, I wanted to do it after the draft, and I don't think you guys let me.
I thought we did going
maybe we did it after free agency or something. Yeah. Although we have no free agent signings of any note whatsoever.
What do you mean? You're not bowled over by Cody Latimer?
I mean, he's barely hanging on the roster. He was up on like a gun charge in Colorado a few months ago.
All right, while Valdez looks for it, let's go back to the phones. Amos is in D.C. on line 1. Amos, you're on with the Junkies. What do you think?
Amos, what's up, buddy?
Hey, guys. Proud D.C. native here.
Cool. What's up?
I do find the rankings disrespectful, but that's all they can do every time this year is predict. Not only is Haskins working hard, but my man Darius Geis, and I'm biased to have him on 2 teams, but I believe he's going to shock everybody too. We saw the real Darius Geis last year in the Carolina game, and I also believe that that's one of the reasons, seeing what Geis could do, like push the guy in the turf, was one of the reasons why Rivera wanted his job.
Let me ask you this about Geis. Let me ask you this about Geis, Amos. Didn't you expect him to have a big year last year, and he got hurt again?
I'm well aware about the injuries, but tell me I'm crazy. I think that he can't stay healthy talk is a little premature. I want to bring out another running back years ago that said he couldn't stay healthy. His name is Frank Gore. Now he'll get in the Hall of Fame for longevity alone. I think the injury's been some fluke. If you look at some of his size look like, wow. So, of course, I'm being optimistic. But
right.
So you're comping like Geis. You're comping Geis to Frank Gore, who's going to play more.
Well, it is a good point in this sense. that Gore had a lot of injury problems early on, right? Has littered with injury problems, I believe even in college, and certainly his first few years at the pro level, and then has carved out arguably a Hall of Fame career. So I see where he's going with the Cakes. He just needs the 15 years of production.
Yeah, I think that's a straight
to go with it.
Let's wait. Let's pump the brakes on the Geis could be Gore.
But I like what he's saying. He's saying he can't write him off. Like I mean, now I'm really going back. But like Terry Allen, a couple ACLs.
I would love to see Darius Geis play all 16 games and rush for 1,300 yards and chip in 400 yards receiving. But I'm a skeptic at this point.
Right.
And I have reason to be.
But I think we all agree the talent is there. It's just there's no denying he's injury prone. So far, he's injury prone. He doesn't like that phrase. He's blocked me on Twitter, but he's injury prone. He just is.
You're blocked?
Yeah, that's because I shamed him early on for posing a picture with like 10 hotties when he was supposed to be in quarantine.
Yeah, with his COVID cuties.
Yeah, his COVID cuties, exactly.
Yeah.
No,
what are you doing, Darius?
Here's the thing about, like having them ranked dead last. They're going to be in everybody's bottom third. And JP's right. They won 3 games. And we all have to admit, okay, early on, there's chaos. Jay doesn't want to play Dwayne. They lose their first couple games, but they score some points. But then when they finally let him go, I can't remember exactly when they did it. I don't know if it was after the Giants game or whatever. Maybe it was New England. They got smoked by New England. And then remember they shouldn't have beat Miami. And then they went through a stretch there of some of the worst football we've ever seen.
The Callahan era.
With the 9-0 loss to the Niners, losing at Minnesota, the Vikings, the Buffalo loss, where Haskins threw for 140 yards. Keenum threw for 77 yards in one game.
Buffalo, by the way, one of those teams you always disrespect. Every year.
Oh, yeah, I always disrespect them. Yeah, I'll always pick us against them. But, I mean, you have to understand, that's some of the worst professional football. There was a 5 or 6 game stretch last year where it was the worst football I've ever seen. Now, I thought it got better as the season progressed, and certainly as Haskins' play picked up. But, you can't really argue with people when they say, look, they didn't sign anybody of any note in free agency. Right? They did add Chase Young, but they're basically banking on Haskins. It's all about Haskins. He has to take a huge leap.
It's all about his development.
He has to take a huge leap.
And now he's got to do it.
It'd be nice if he had some weapons to throw.
He's got to do it without Kelvin Harmon. He's got to rely heavily on Terry McLaurin. McLaurin is going to see, what's a good target number for him? 180 targets this year? Maybe north of that.
Maybe Gandy Golden will be this year's version of Terry.
How many targets did you say, Cakes?
180.
180?
That's
maybe
targets,
more.
not catches.
No, I understand. That's a lot of targets. He's going to be doubled. He's going to be doubled every time.
He's basically saying 11 a game. Try and throw the ball 11 times.
Well, that'd be great, but I don't see it.